Is it love or is it war? A battlefield all alone. It's only real in the zone. So jump in the water. There's magic in your eyes. I feel something calling tonight. You gotta hit the floor. Get up and take some more. Oh, can you hear me call? Keep pounding on and on. Carolina on my mind. Charlotte here looking fine. Shadows pounding on my wall. Black and blue will hear them call. So jump in the water. There's magic in your eyes. I feel something calling tonight. Yeah. You gotta hit the floor. Get up and take some more. Oh, can you hear me call? Keep pounding on and on. You gotta hit the floor. Get up and take some more. Oh, can't you hear me call? Keep pounding on and on. Take some more. I can't hear me call. Keep pounding on and on. 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 Keep pounding on and on.
What is going on, Panthers Nation? Hope you are just as hyped up as I am. Hey, that song is Keep Pounding, if you did not know, and it was not obvious, by the group called Sky Fever. So those guys are based out of Ireland, I want to say. I think they're based out of Ireland. I'll tell you in just a second. I think they're based out of Ireland. Dublin City, Ireland. And hopefully one day I'm going to actually pull them on the show. But exciting news. I reached out to Sky Fever. I was like, hey, man, I really like this song. And it's about the Carolina Panthers. Do you mind if I use it? So I reached out to him probably 4 or 5 months ago before I even knew I was going to do any of this. And he was like, sure, use it. So moving forward, one, I was like, that's not really a great that's not really anything I could use for like a podcast intro, because podcast intro has got to be short and sweet. But it is something that I can incorporate into going live in my live streams. So I've got to you could see that I just used his song right now in video. And I'm going to need to create a big hype video with a bunch of Panthers highlights, all the fun stuff that comes with that. So I'll have that coming out. But I did want to shout him out. You know what? While I have this stream pulled up, let me show you. So if you do want to go out and support him, let's try sharing this so you can see. So this is it. It's Sky Fever 1. I zoom in because I'm old. Sky Fever 1. You can look him up again, based out of Dublin City, Ireland. I think I'm going to get him on the show one day to understand more about that song. Like, how did someone in Dublin, Ireland, or a rock band out of Dublin, Ireland, decide to make this? And I think he kind of sent me, like, way back, we were talking a little bit about his inspiration. No, I thought he gave me, like, more insight into, like, how or why he wanted to make this song. But anyways, that's gonna be coming up soon. Also, we are live again, live on Friday night. You can tune into the show. You're clearly tuned in right now. If you're going back in time and watching this once it is published, you can follow us on YouTube. Got all the things up there. I know I didn't do great with my artwork, but we've got X, Instagram, YouTube. I'm not live on Instagram. I am live on Facebook, YouTube, and X right now. And hey, speaking of YouTube, if you are watching or following on YouTube, I don't know anything about YouTube. I really ramped this thing up, as you guys know, like 3 months ago, and we gained 450 plus subscribers over the last 3 months on YouTube, closing out March strong, averaging 130-ish subscribers per month right now, which is fantastic because it'll move me through some big milestones. The biggest milestone that just happened, though, is I hit the 500 subscriber mark, which now means, and I'm going to butcher this, but there's super chat, there's super emojis. I don't know if I'm even doing that right. I'm probably have to create emojis for y'all to use. There's all that stuff. Is a membership option on the YouTube channel now, which is really cool. Folks, I do this by myself, as everyone knows, put in a lot of time and effort and energy. This is not a donation segment at all. I just want to say, like, if you do follow the show, I want to appreciate it. If you're not connected, hey, go out there to those channels, connect with me, because everything that builds up on this, as far as like the following, the presence, is going to make the show better. I have a lot of things in mind for making this thing grow. Starting in the spring, bringing on a few folks, and no idea how I'm going to do it just yet, because I do this thing so sporadically that it's just like, oh, I guess I'm going to record an episode today, record an episode tomorrow, whatever it is. And I'm like, all right, it's time to record. That's kind of how I flow. I did jump on let me get this right, the Fantasy Road Show podcast. Fantasy Roadshow podcast, really good group of guys. There was 3 people on there. So it's Colts, and it's Colts _ sports, Truck, who's a truck driver, Fantasy at Fantasy _ trucker, and Shane SM McCormick _FF. It's Fantasy Roadshow on, let's see, on X, if you want to follow them. The episode that I recorded with them is going to come out on Monday. Really good group of guys, though. I mean, Cowboy fan, some partial Bears fans on there. Really cool guys, though, and I'm excited about the partnership with them. So they're kind of in the same boat as me early on in our journeys. They're like, hey, do you want to be the Panthers guy for us? And I said, sure, man. Like, I'm all about coming on, helping, as long as it's not like every day, right? I can spend time, set aside time to come on, talk. So we did a really nice breakdown. I mean, we started at the end of the year, the season, everything that's happened so far, and we spent an hour talking about it. But what I like about them, because I'm a terrible fantasy football player. I don't know if you're into fantasy football. I play in 2 leagues. One of my leagues, it's a work league, but it's this custom scoring that's just insane that I still don't know what's happening. I have that league, and then I have a normal league that I play with some guys from high school that I just did this past year. Did not win, even though I had the first overall pick. So I'm bad at fantasy football. I said, hey, y'all, I'm going to need y'all to come on to my show, and we're going to talk some fantasy football, and I'm going to let y'all run the show. Tell me who to draft. give our Panthers fans some things to look into. So we will have that coming up. The other thing that I'm going to try to do, and I promise we're going to get into mock drafts. The other thing that I'm going to try to do is create a more formal schedule to open myself up to jump on other people's shows, because I know it's important, and or have others hop on this show. And not saying it has to be super formalized process, but trying my best with a little over a 1 year old and Nolan, who's middle school, almost 14, wild, trying to balance schedules and just, work and life and everything that comes with it. But seeing if I can set aside some time to navigate all that stuff and make it easier. But folks, we are here, and you know what? I guess I like doing mocks. I don't know. I think mock drafts are kind of like your brackets. Like everyone maybe shares a bracket. Speaking of brackets, my gosh, bracket freaking busted over here, folks. Bracket busted for me. North Carolina, what happened? What happened last night? I stayed up and watched that. Tar Heels could not pull it through. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I don't have a lot of words. I felt like that team had the potential. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to knock off UConn, but I think they had the potential to make a deeper run than what they did, and they didn't. Really wanted to see that matchup against Clemson, only because Clemson destroys us in football, and I was like, hey, we can get them back in basketball. It's not going to happen. Wasn't in our cards. However, speaking of the ACC, I will take, because here's the other thing. I would tell people, so when I started this, I kind of treaded lightly around my college fandom, only because I know it's important to not mix up what I like in college, especially here in the state of North Carolina, because I've lived here my whole life and I understand the rivalries, and the side of the Panthers, because the Panthers umbrella brings in everyone. When you get into college ranks, rivalries and feuds, things happen. Unless you're pounding your chest for the ACC, and that's what you represent. For me, Reverend, what did I even say? He said, "When does that drop?" And I'm over here rambling, not paying attention to comments, man. I don't even know where I was talking about then. So if you're still tuned in, let me know, and I can answer the question around that. But what I was going to say is, people know my fandom. Know I'm North Carolina fan, Tar Heels. I grew up. That's just what I grew up on. It's funny that my dad is from Durham. He went to almost every single Duke athletic event growing up as a kid. Way back here, I don't even know if y'all can see it. There's a Duke University clinic for boys football camp featuring Sony Jurgensen and a few other guys that played at Duke and went on to the NFL. But my dad's got autographs of that. But I have that hanging up here in tandem with the North Carolina logo artwork. And speaking of that thing up there, if you can see it, that was my brother-in-law. That, shout out to him. I don't know if he wants to give him his name out, but shout out to him, because he did that for me for Christmas. But I was going somewhere with this, and that is that, yes, I'm a Carolina fan, North Carolina fan, but I also understand I'm not one that, as I look at other fan bases, as we talk Panthers, I understand and support the other folks unless we're playing. So I will take a second to say shout out to NC State, man. Shout out to NC State for carrying the torch right now and just battling, knocking off the number 2 seed Marquette. I don't even know what the Marquette mascot is. This is a Cinderella run for this team. An Elite Eight appearance, 8 games in a row, and this team was not supposed to be here. Like, if they had lost just one game along the way in the ACC tournament, they would have never sniffed March Madness. This run, so, Jimmy V was around, and that time was before I was born in the early 90s, so I missed that. I'll get to go back and look at speeches and highlights and hear people talk about it. But this feels like that. I don't know what is going on there, how far they are going to make it, but great story for them. And then, of course, you know what? I'm going to suck it up because guess what? We were outside of Virginia, the lone East ACC team to get knocked out. So now we'll see what Duke can do against Houston coming up on CBS. And looking at the bracket, it looks like Purdue is also steamrolling Gonzaga. I know that was closer earlier when I looked at it. Purdue's got that big dude on the inside. I was watching him play, and man, dude can ball. Speaking of brackets and March Madness, and brackets being busted, yeah, the Two Grouse One Roar March Madness bracket again. It's on ESPN. Next year, I hope we have a lot more folks in there. Had almost 30 folks. I think 13 brackets are done because they're the team they picked lost. Still a good portion of folks remaining, like half the field still in this thing. Although I think I did have a Marquette or two in there that may have been knocked off. So fun times. All right, now let's see. Oh yeah, sorry, man. See, the other thing is I need multiple screens because I'm over here looking at another tab. The podcast is going to drop Monday. And for folks that are just tuning in, the podcast for the Fantasy Roadshow is going to drop on Monday. It's an hour-long episode. And I can just quickly share so y'all can see. I will share. Oh my gosh, this thing, man. This is their information, the Fantasy Roadshow. So at Fantasy Roadshow, as soon as it's available, I'll put it out there, share it. I'm sure they'll have clips just like I do, so you can see that. So Monday, I'll keep you posted and let you know. All right. Happy Power, what's going on? Who would you choose in the draft? That's a great question. We are going to go through a mock draft. Hey, I love this question, man. So I just before this recorded an episode looking at the Panthers offense and defense to this point, and I think we could say we're pretty far along as far as free agency. Maybe we get a Gilmore, maybe we get another piece or two, but like the bulk of it's done, so to speak. I just did an entire episode talking through. I didn't do it like in depth, but just looking on paper, like, do I feel like we improved from what was there? It's hard to say. Like offense hands down, I think has improved, and a lot of that has to do with the offensive line. I think the offensive line upgrade, bringing in Johnson, like those things absolutely helped this team improve. And I think I can put my hand on the Bible right now and say, yes, Carolina Panthers offense on paper is better. Defense, it's a little bit weirder because I do look at a Frankie Louvu and a Brian Burns. I don't know about Von Bell just yet. People can have their mixed emotions about Dante Jackson, but I don't know if Dane Jackson or whoever else we bring in is going to be better than him. And so that's kind of what I just talked about on an episode that I recorded that I'm going to publish. I guess I'll publish tomorrow. But I will say, like, and I think this is the things that are better about the defense right now is the depth on the defense. And it's not, I guess it's not really defense, it's both offense and defense depth, like something that we really haven't had. I mean, we're getting close to 70 guys, NFL players on the roster, adding in your draft picks and then your undrafted guys. It's just a little bit different picture than last year when we were bringing in a buttload of undrafted guys, and you saw how many of those. You go back and look at Nash Jensen, DiRenzo. Who else? There's one other, and I don't know what's on my mind. But you look at the Ricky Lee, some of these guys that were undrafted rookies that ended up, seeing playing time last year. But I think defensively, where we've gotten better, or the narrative that's out there, and I've seen a few folks put this out, is the run defense. The run defense should be vastly improved. And I know at times we got gashed, but I think having Clowney, so I do think the opposite side of Burns, because I look at DJ Wonham as the Burns replacement. That's the thing about like when you go through the list, like if I were to say Josie Jewell, Frankie Louvu, I'd probably lean Frankie Louvu. Jadeveon Clowney versus Ettore Gross-Matos, plug in whatever name you want on DJ Johnson. Like, yeah, I think Clowney elevates us. But I think Clowney's year was a little bit of an anomaly for him. If you go back and look at his year over year stats and sack production, he's not a big time. Hey, I'm going to get to the quarterback and sack him. He's a very good run defender. Same thing with Ashawn Robinson. So shoring up the run defense. Of course, I mean, Derek Brown, Shy Tuttle. I think the other question mark I have is Shaq Thompson, just knowing the health of him. You look at J.C. Horn, you could talk about health with him as well. And like I said, on the safety position, just Jordan Fuller versus Von Bell. Like, I guess it's going to be better. And then, like I said, Dane Jackson versus Dante Jackson, at least how it is on paper. I do like some of the pieces behind them, whether we're talking to Troy Hill. Oh gosh, just put it. Jamie Robinson brought over Nick Scott, Sam Franklin. So a lot of good pieces. I mean, the team feels like they're in a state where if they want to go into the draft, which we'll go into in just a second, that they can start to look at best available player and really be able to do that. So great question. All right, folks, we are going to, I think we'll do one mock because I've been rambling a little bit. Give me 1 second. Let's go to, all right, we're going to go to NFL Draft Buzz. It's what I tend to use here. I'm going to do, I guess we'll do a single mock and I'll share. My computer sounds like a rocket. It does not like me streaming, attaching video, recording. It does not like any of that. All right, folks, NFL Draft Buzz. I know there's Pro Football Focus, there's PFF. I've already talked about all that stuff, but this is what I use NFL Draft Buzz. Mock Draft Simulator. Is it the greatest? I don't think so. Does it work? Yes. Seven round mock draft. I have noticed if it may be because of the streaming, but if you use warped speed, I've had issues completing it. We'll leave everything set. Of course, we'll pick the Panthers. And go ahead and enter here. And on the side, I'm going to pull up my notes. So I still think another thing when I talk about the offense as far as like needs and getting better, I think it's hard to know what Austin's going to look like at center. And I know coaches talked highly of him, but I still wonder about him. I'd love to see the quote unquote Swiss Army knife that Canales talked about for tight end. I love Tommy Tremble. I think Tommy Tremble can be a number one tight end, but I still think we saw the production of or what rookie tight ends could do last year. The Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, getting your quarterback a guy like that can hit out of the gate is important. All right, folks, let us start the draft and take a look at what we have. So one thing I'm going to do, I guess I'm going to have to do it like in the next week or maybe in the next 2 weeks, is I really like Graham Barton. He's probably going to be gone. Oh, I think he was there. I'm like, I still laugh at these. These trades make no sense. Here we have Chicago again, feeling bad for us. I'm just going to reject these. These are just, no. I would like to see what else we got. Pick 8, round 4. Yeah, all these are, hey, Saints. Yeah, they're going to give us a first round pick to move here. Oh, Brees Hall. Y'all want a running back? Oh man, it's so funny that Graham Barton and Brian Thomas Jr. are on the board. Jackson Powers Johnson is on the board as well. I don't think I've seen, and I should note, Graham Barton listed as tackle technically could play center in the NFL, and I think that's what a lot of folks are saying. I saw some of his video this week from the Duke Pro Day. Speaking of Duke, yeah, this is tough. I mean, you really have to go back and decide, like, what do you want? And in my opinion, I think the wide receiver class is deep enough. So in this situation, I think I like to pick guys that I haven't picked before. Again, I like to keep a variety here. I picked Jackson Powers Johnson. I picked Brian Thomas Jr. If Brian Thomas were to fall, that would be wild. Troy Saunders. So we are going to go out and draft Graham Barton. Yeah. Hey, blitz, Bama, blitz. Oh my God. Yeah, I already went through my heartache with North Carolina getting their butts whooped last night. That's done. Yeah, they have. I'm surprised to see Jackson Powers falling that low and Graham. Hey, maybe good for us. So here's the thing, though. We've got this South Carolina Gamecocks brewing. You have Clowney, you have J.C. Horn, you possibly get Stephon Gilmore. It's only right, and I've been high on him this whole time to get Xavier Legette. You got to get him. Um, a lot of these, I know there are folks on here that like Keon Coleman. Some may say, I think the need at edge drops down a little bit now that we have Clowney, and you've got quite a few guys behind him. So I don't even know that we necessarily need an edge with this second pick. I mean, it's just going to depend on what the heck the Panthers decide is the better priority. But I already like that we got Graham out of Duke, center, Xavier Legette. Welcome to the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if that's good or bad, or if you want to be here or not. Something I saw the other day, unrelated, or I guess semi-related, is that the Carolina Panthers have never drafted a player from Clemson. I'd love someone to fact check that, but it was one of the beat writers or beat reporters I saw that put that out there. It's pretty wild, the fact that the Panthers played games there. They have ties to the two states. So, all right. We started off strong offense. Graham Barton, Xavier off the board. Again, me personally, and here's the thing, and I saw someone do this the other day and I posted it. You got a pretty strong group of guys if they fell here within North Carolina and South Carolina. Because right now, when I look at this board, I look at Peyton Wilson as I just went through talking about the defense and needing a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. The praise that he's gotten, I think I really like seeing him there. A lot of people like him, man. A lot of people. XL all day. So I'm going to take, like, for me, this is kind of a perfect scenario for the Panthers. I mean, I'm sure some would say, well, what about a cornerback? What about an edge? I think Peyton is going to be our selection there. Taking him off the board. So there you go. Just keeping it close to Charlotte with 3 guys, 2 ACC, 1 SEC off the board. Here's the one thing that I also posed, because I can't remember which guy it was, that it was somebody who posted their mock draft and it ended up being all North Carolina, South Carolina folks. And I said, what if I can't do this because I spend enough time doing this stuff, but what if the Panthers or NFL teams had to build out their roster based off of the states? Like, of course, there's states that do not have NFL teams, so you would have to take the NFL team and maybe designate some states around them. But like North Carolina and South Carolina, building out a roster. I think it'd be pretty good. You throw in a Drake May, Spencer Rattler, all that comes with that. All right, here we go, folks. So we've knocked out center, wide receiver, linebacker. I've pushed out the need for edge. Could still look at a cornerback, tight end, running back, Trey Benson. I like Trey Benson out of Florida State as well. Kalen Carson, cornerback out of Wake Forest. Dwayne Carter, defensive tackle out of Duke. I don't think there's as much of a need as it for defensive tackle. And I've already talked about safety room being pretty good. So here's the thing with drafting a running back. You have 3 on the roster. Panthers are not going to carry 4 running backs. And you also have the 2 guys on the practice squad. You have Raheem Blackshear here for kick returns. Raheem, really good kick returner, especially with the updated kickoff return rules, the XFL style. I think we're going to see a lot more kicks. So my thing is, if you draft a running back, it's not to say that's not. I mean, it almost feels like someone has to go. You lose a roster spot somewhere on that 53-man roster. But for me, when I look at Benson, and I've looked at him before, pretty solid year. He's a bigger back, 6 foot, even 216, had 900 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. Not as involved in the pass game. So one thing that I noticed going back and look at it, the Tampa Bay offense, I believe might have been the 3rd. Now I'm going to second guess myself, and I want to quote this correctly. So let me go out to the stats and tell you. But the running back, or at least running back White, was heavily involved in the pass game. I was going to quote him as the 3rd. Yeah, okay, I wasn't crazy. The running back, Rachaad White, was the 3rd leading pass catcher on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. 3rd leading was your running back. Now you have a Mike Evans, you have a Chris Godwin, both two wide receivers that hit 1,000 yards. So that's a big difference, right, than what we've seen in Carolina. But I do think about how Rachaad will be involved in the offense. So Rachaad had 70 targets, 64 receptions. So getting a pass catching back involved, which maybe Canales is going to look at a Miles Sanders and think that he can elevate them. I know that was quite a speech to decide if I'm going to take Trey Benson or not. I'll compare him to Kalen Carson, 6 foot, 199, cornerback out of Wake Forest. No interceptions returned. I like to go down and look at, again, the aggregate rankings that they have on here. At the bottom of this, so we got a variety. So his average ranking is 72, 18th ranked cornerback. We are at pick 101, so it's not a reach. It's almost a steal. Let's go look back here. Like that. Wilson. Sorry, man. This is what I get for only having the one screen, having to bounce back and forth with these. We are going to take Trey Benson, and guess what? It's my job to draft, and it's the coaches and GMs to figure out, like this is real, to figure out what decision they need to make. Who's getting cut? I don't know, Coach. You figure it out, man. You tell me who's not going to make the team. So that was a bit of a need that's not necessarily a need, which means I still need to look at tight end, still need to look at edge and cornerback. And we only have, 3 picks left? And pick 240 might as well be a wash. I was saying Panthers go, at least right now, from pick 142 to 166, then almost like 80 picks before they're able to pick up the for their final pick. Here we go. Jamari Thrash. He's pretty good wide receiver. I'm not drafting wide receiver. I was just saying I have looked at some of his film. Jerry Jones, cornerback. Jalen Simpson and Kalen King. I know I've talked about the group of those guys. Really like Kalen King. I don't know. Looking at Jerry Jones, I can't do two Florida State guys back to back. I mean, I could just mess with y'all. Let's look at Jalen Simpson, 4 interceptions, 6', 179, 87 return yards, 3 passes deflected, 38 tackles, 4.45 40. Let's see where his rank. Really good vertical, 40, 68 percentile. Height, 63 percentile. Weight, he's a little bit smaller. Hands, arm, wingspan, broad jump. Pretty good numbers. But then you look at the draft projection. NFL.com, 97 prospect, 132, PFF, 178. But I mean, we are at pick 142. I've picked Kalen King before. I've picked Jerry Jones before. So take Jalen Simpson there. Cornerback locked. Tight end, edge. I mean, me drafting an edge right now is a waste. It's a waste of a pick, to be honest. No offense to any of the guys that are still there, but at least just based off of what we've got, man, this guy's going to be working on. There we go. New Orleans Saints. Thank you. Coming to save the day. You're going to offer us a buttload of draft picks, right? How did we get 4 trade offers for a 5th round pick? These are, I can't. There you go. There's our edge, Moultrie. Hey, y'all want to send over different edge? We'll reject that. There you go. I think this will be fun for the Carolinas. Quite a story to ship off Christian McCaffrey, then come back a few years later, draft his brother Luke McCaffrey out of Rice. He is a wide receiver. I mean, to be honest, pretty decent prospect. I don't think he's going to be as good as his brother, but still not bad, right? If he's available. I don't know. I feel like his parents may veto him ever touching ground in Charlotte. Like, if I'm his dad, Ed McCaffrey, I'm pulling the whole Eli Manning, even though this is like way late in the draft. I'm calling my folks and I'm saying, sorry, he is never touching ground in Charlotte, North Carolina, unless it is to play the Panthers. I've seen what that organization does, what they did to Christian. He's not doing it. Don't let him come here, right? All right, folks. So we got not a lot to choose from on this. Kalen King is funny, still available. I'm not drafting another cornerback. Let's take a look at the edge. And I mean, to be honest, when we start getting into this group of guys, this is part of the reason I'm going to create a draft board for myself, is to have a better idea of some of these kind of sleeper names at the bottom to keep track of. Let's look at the tight end room. Oh, I've seen Eric's name come up a few times. Jaheim Bell. Let's see what his draft profile looks like. 39 receptions, 503 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6'2", 241, tight end out of Florida State. Let's see what his stats look like. 130th overall prospect, 9th ranked tight end, but then you got kind of skewed numbers. Wow. Huddle Report has them 80, 87, 97. NFL.com, PFF. Not really fans. ESPN, Draft Buzz. You know what, though? What about Michigan? 22 receptions, 249 yards. Wow, 6'6", 251, though. Big guy. 19. Yeah, there's like none of this is really jumping. I think Eric's stats are pretty similar. Yeah. I mean, this is like we are in the 5th round. Jared Wiley, 47 receptions, 520 yards, 6'6", 249 out of TCU. Not bad. But people are not a big fan. I don't know. Let's see what the knock is on him. His strengths, good effort. Weaknesses, he has athleticism to be able to catch and run. He never seemed comfortable catching, gathering, and transitioning to a runner. High cut frame and limited power in hands prevent a top blocking grade. He'll have to develop a better feel for sitting down in zone coverage. That's the 3 weaknesses. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is why other folks, yes, that's why other folks get paid to do this and not me. I just do it for fun. All righty. Who's I looking at? I guess we're gonna roll with. Actually, let's look at Tanner real fast too. Nice. Sorry, man. Sorry, Tanner. Tanner didn't make the cut. We do have South Carolina, Trey Knox. Just keep the vibes rolling there. It's 37, 312. I think I did look at him in another mock in a later round, but for today, we will roll with Jaheim Bell. Leaves us 1 pick to go. We did not draft an edge, which could be a mistake. The other thing with some of these mocks that I've talked about is just you quickly see as you are going through your position breakdowns how quickly the top end talent, and then it's just natural. That's how the draft works. And give this a second to load. Yes, this is the thing between these picks. Waiting for pick 240. Almost there. Slowly but surely. There we go. On the clock. And we will close out this draft. There's really not a lot. This is more like a eeny, miny, mo situation. What about? Whew. Yeah, edge. Fortunately, I did not draft an edge, and there's not one that's really going to make an impact. I could go with another sleeper wide receiver. I'm going to tell you, I've seen Flournoy's name come up. Pretty good production. Cornerback. I don't think we can get another cornerback, but what about Jalen Ford, linebacker? 101 tackles, 6'2", 240. Wow. Really good 40. I like adding more depth there. Let's scroll. Yeah, so some people have a pretty good grade on him. Let's go ahead. Draft it, close it out. And there's your draft class, folks. So we have Graham Barton, center, Xavier Legette, Peyton Wilson, Trey Benson, Jalen Simpson, Jaheim Bell, and Jalen Ford rounding out your Panthers simulated 2024 mock draft. All right, folks, I am going to go watch some basketball. Hope you all have a great evening. And until we see each other, you see me again. Peace.